So hello and welcome to the EFS 22.1 summer release webinar. It's really nice to be presenting a summer release when the sun has actually been shining in the UK. As many of you know, I'm Jay Hartley and I'm now responsible for the customer success function across Europe, not just the UK. So maybe I'll be speaking to a few more of you as time goes on. Usually I have a partner in crime, but sadly I'm flying solo today. But I hope you can put up with hearing my voice. And before I take you through the agenda, remember there will be time to answer questions at the end. So please make use of the questions panel on your webinar menu options, and I'll pick these up at the end. So here's our agenda for today. And you can see we have a number of new functions that have been added. Most of these are found on the EFS administration side, and in the main are focused on security and governance. However, we'll start by looking at one that does provide some additional benefit to end users. And this is one where you can ensure a copy of a respondent's survey answers are provided to them. And typically we've referred to this as a PDF receipt. We will then look at two-factor authentication, which has been added as an option to the admin area of the platform. And it's something that's becoming more common and is increasingly important for some customers. So a real good add there. We've added some other security features, which are all quite technical. But again, I'll give you a quick overview, and it should reassure your business and end users that security is very important to us and therefore to you. Then we're going to take a look at the SMS unsubscribe feature, which allows respondents to unsubscribe from text messages in the same way as they can for emails. Then we've got a small but valuable and indeed long overdue ad with the gender option within the panel side of the platform becoming one that you can edit. We'll then round off with a quick run through of some other changes that have been made. I'm only going to pick a few of these out as they are all quite small and detailed in the release notes. So we'll start by looking at the PDF outputs or the PDF receipts. So they've been around for a long time as customizations, but have often required support or tweaking in many cases. However, we brought these into the core now and carried out the work required to make them more flexible and available to you guys as end users. They're available on any 3.1 layout survey, and they can be easily configured so that you can make them reflect the style of your survey, save them with the main template, and then present them at the end of each survey completion, either on the end page itself or via email. And then by default, they're going to exclude certain question types, such as 911s or 998s, but you can also choose to exclude others. And the nice thing is they will work in any language out of the box. So if you've added the receipt to your survey, the respondent will get a copy of their survey answers in a nicely formatted PDF. But let's take a look at this in action. So it's available from within the questionnaire editor. And obviously, first of all, I've gone into the wrong project here. One sec. We're going to the UK one, not the German one. You go into the questionnaire, and the first thing you're going to do is work through and create your questionnaire. Now, for ease of testing, I'd always recommend that you actually go and create your final page and insert your PDF link into the final page so that you can just make sure things are looking as they should. And in order to do that, what you need to do is add this wildcard, the survey summary link, into an HTML link. And then that will ensure that when you click that at the end of a survey, it's going to present that PDF. Similarly, it's that same wildcard that you would use if you were going to include this within an email trigger or something. So once you've added that, you can go back to the questionnaire editor, and at the very bottom here, you will see the receipts option. So on the first page, you can see there's just a couple of basic settings. You have the option of displaying this in either portrait or landscape, and you can choose whether or not you want to send this by email. So you can see here, I've set this up. I've created an email template which has got that specific wildcard in it. And for now, because I'm just doing this as a test, I've just put my email in here. So again, you could use this if you want to be kind of notified every time somebody has completed a survey. I appreciate for a large market research survey, you wouldn't want to do that, but there may be occasions when that is useful. On the second tab, you have the exclude questions. Now, as I said, by default, certain types of questions are automatically excluded, as you can see here. However, if I wanted to exclude a couple of the others, I could choose this, click save, and then they will not pull through to the PDF itself. So it's very flexible now within the UI. The other thing that you can do within the PDFs is control the look and feel of these. So a lot of the core branding from the survey is going to be pulled through. So if I click into here in the header, you can see that it's indicated that it's picking up the main logo for this survey. However, I can go into any of these, and so long as I've got some HTML skills, I can go in and make changes to this to ensure that each of the different types of template for this survey look exactly how I want them to, and make sure that they look on brand. So now, if I go back to my survey menu and I just go and do a test survey, I'll just click through, answer the question, and flip-flops is always my answer for that one. And I like white and bright as my color palette. I'll click next, and you can see here now that I've got my PDF answers download. If I click on that, it will open up for me, and you can see that what's happened is for each page of the questionnaire, it has presented me the answers that I have given. Scroll down, you can see that the second page is there. As I mentioned, you also get an email option, and you can see here that it's downloaded it and sent it to me as a PDF. So again, a really neat way of generating those PDF receipts and getting them out to your end users. So if I go back to the slides, and we will just click through now and take a look at two-factor authentication. So security is very important to us. We know it's important to our customers and increasingly their end customers and clients. So we've added two-factor authentication to the administration area to make sure that anybody that has access to data will have the opportunity, or any company that has access to data will have the opportunity of enforcing two-factor authentication on their administrators. What this will do is going to protect the platform from root attacks or replay attacks, and it will also lock out accounts where the wrong codes are entered too many times. So as I say, you can choose to have this enabled across the whole platform, or instead, if there are certain types of users that you want to make sure that they've got that access, or rather they've got the two-factor authentication in place, then they have to activate it themselves. So it uses standard app-based authentications that you would see being used on many of our kind of software providers and things like that now. You know, I have to do it on my Office 365, for example. And if it's enabled by default, then the first time somebody goes in to use the platform, they will be required to go through the steps of scanning their QR code and entering it in as an access code and so on and so forth. However, let's just have a look at where it sits in the installation for users where you maybe haven't got it set up across the board. So under this, your kind of profile, there's a security option. And on this page, we've got our two-step verification in place. I'm actually just going to deactivate it first so that I can then reactivate it. And you can see here that I've got a QR code. I'm going to scan it with my authenticator app, type in the number I'm given, and you can see that it's successfully activated. Now, if I entered the wrong information, the wrong code, then it wouldn't go through and enable that. Similarly, if I make an error when I'm logging in, it's going to lock me out in the same way. But if I quickly log out now, and now enter my login details here, you can see it's asking me for an access code. Again, I load up my authenticator app, type in the details, click proceed, and I get taken straight into the platform. So you can see that the security has been beefed up, and obviously it's got all of the usual fail safe. So if I get something wrong, it's going to kick me out and take me through a login reset. So I'm going to go back into the presentation now. And we'll move on to the next. So this, no demo for this, it's not too exciting, but again, they're very much for the IT security experts in the room. Essentially, what these do, these security headers, is they protect the relevant pages from attack or malicious use. So by including the header, your teams can build in additional security, which loads up when the page is presented to the end user and prevents or enables certain activity. For example, it could prevent the page from allowing certain APIs to be used, or it can enable XSS filtering to sanitize the page in the event of cross-site scripting being identified. You can access this from within a survey project properties and make the relevant sections. As you can tell, I am no expert on this. I am reading the information out. So if you want to get more info on this, I suggest you get your security experts to take a look at the documentation, which explains how it can be deployed. And then you can always reach out to one of our own internal experts for some assistance. So the next one, if you are users of the SMS module, this is a really welcome addition, which will enable the end users to effectively unsubscribe from receiving any text message survey invites. In addition, it works in the same way as the email list, whereby you can manually add, remove people from the list should they resubscribe, or indeed if you've got other systems that maintain a kind of do not email or do not SMS list, you can actually hook this up via the service layer APIs in order to maintain it and keep it up to date. So again, this is something that we've added to ensure that you can start making even better use of the SMS module. We know that where customers have used this, they've seen an uptick in their responses. It enables really quick communication. And again, people are getting so much more used to using a mobile as a form of communication for surveys and receiving information around them, that we think it's something that we needed to add in and will benefit any of those customers. So then the next one that I want to show you is a small change, but again, an important one. And this is within the people module. And for years, there's been a little hole in our armory, as it were, whereby the default for gender within the people module and therefore the kind of panel has always been behind the times. It's only ever had male, female, and other, and you weren't able to edit it. So it's one of those things, because of the way it was set up, it took a long time to unpick, but I'm delighted to say that we've now resolved those. And anyone using the people module can now switch to using the default gender variable rather than creating their own master data variable. The benefits that's going to bring is that you can obviously see it against the user straight away without having to dig into the master data variables, but also it's going to be included by default on exports, and you can have a look at your statistic splits by gender. So I'm just going to go back into the platform and we'll just have a look at where you can find that. So if I go to the people module and I go to panel configuration, you can see I've got a new option here called genders. I click on that, and again, it's obviously starts off with the default options there. If I've got nothing in my other currently, I could go in and change the labeling there. Or if I just want to add a new label, such as non-binary, I can then create that. Again, I might want it to display in a specific order, so I can push that in there. And you can see here that we've got the number of panelists here. So now as I build up my categories and my panelists against these genders, that's instantly going to give me a really good handle on the gender split within my panel. If I click on people now and go and have a look at a panelist, again, you can see within the gender now, I've immediately got this additional option. So like I say, not a huge change in terms of functionality, but certainly a beneficial change for kind of panel management and the like. So back into the presentation. So we've got I picked out a few of the bigger ones and the more important ones to show you at a kind of a demonstration level. However, we've made many other functional changes, some of them a little bit smaller than others, but what I wanted to do is pick out maybe like 2 or 3 more on each area, which I think are going to be real beneficial changes to people that are used to using the panel. So the first one we've got is a feature that will allow you to run an extended search on multiple emails. So this means that if you get your email send out and it comes back with a load of emails that you need to go and update, rather than have to search for these individually, you can simply copy the list directly into the advanced search. So if I just quickly go back here, go to panel administration and put out my extended search, you'll find it in the bottom right hand corner, and all I need to do is copy or type in emails here. I don't need to comma separate them, so it will just copy straight in from Excel. I could get a nice long list, and then that would then, when I hit search, bring back anybody that matches anybody in that list, which obviously really helpful if I want to then do bulk updates and things like that on those ones without making having to go in individually. Similarly, there is a change that's been made to the update rules, whereby there is now an option for deleting panelists, and this is a proper hard delete of the panelists to remove them from the panel and tidy everything up. So what you can now do is you can add people into a group as you might be doing anyway, but then rather than having to kind of manually go in and delete that, you can actually run the delete panelist update rule over the top of that group on a regular basis to ensure that your panel is remaining really healthy and clean, and you haven't got a load of people sitting in there that you do not need to have. And then the final one I want to mention on the panel side is the option to remove panelists directly from the groups view within the panelist admin side. So in the past, you would have to kind of go into the group itself and then delete them. But you can see here that on the right-hand side, we've got a little trash can icon. So again, once I found my person, if I realize that they don't need to be in that group, I can now hit the trash can and that will take them out of that group without me having to do some extra clicks. Again, very much I guess a change that was led by a customer request, that one, just to reduce the number of clicks that are needed. Next, we've got a small change on the survey side, and again, this is one for the technical experts on the call, i.e. not me. So the Pro Editor has been refined so that the CSS and the JavaScript templates can now be separated out, and that means that you can easily see the relevant files without having to sift through to spot the ones you need. If you need to add a new one, you can create a new one within that section. So it's just kind of refactored it and kept everything a little bit cleaner. So I think from what I understand, that's going to be very beneficial to people that are used to using that area of the platform. And now the final things that I wanted to cover off today relate to kind of other areas of the system. So one, again, it's linked to kind of improving the panel performance, I guess. So you can now update an email template with specific custom headers, which effectively allow you to add things that will reduce the chances of your email landing in spam. So you can add those in, and that's going to really improve the the delivery of your emails. The next one, again, coming back to the SMS, is that we've now added some additional information. So anybody that uses the SMS module will know that you kind of buy a number of SMSs up front from us, or you connect them up to your own SMS provider. And what this extra element shows is it shows any encoding that's in place, and also how many SMS might be sent for the one send. So in this example, you can see that it's not going to send one; it's likely to send 3 separate SMSs, and therefore you can understand how your cost is going to go. So the next one, again, this is something that will be very useful for you with the, where you've got a very brand conscious requirement. So now you can upload a number of different web font file types, and that means that you can put these into the platform and then use them within the Pro Editor and places like that, in order to make sure that the survey is following and is on brand. Again, one for the technical experts as opposed to the everyday user like myself. And then the final one is around the maintenance page. So again, thankfully, the maintenance page is used far less than it used to be, following the successful move to AWS and also improvements in our upgrade processes. However, we know that sometimes things will happen and a maintenance page may pop up. So what we've actually done is we've made it available to all of our customers via a UI, and you can now align that to your kind of overall brand, and you can also add in kind of any key things. You might want to put your own contact details in, so that if anybody's got an issue, they can come and find you rather than going to our support team. Obviously, one thing to note, you would need somebody with some HTML skills to be able to make those changes. It is not a template, it is a web page containing HTML. Okay, so that brings us to the end, and we've still got a couple of minutes left for questions. So I'm just going to open up the panel and see if anybody's asked anything as yet. So I've got one here from David, and he's asked, oh, good question. So what happens if I lose my authenticator app? So if you did that, if you lost your phone or your authenticator app, or you accidentally deleted the site off of the authenticator app, you can actually reset the password in the usual way, and then you would be taken back through the re-registration process, so that you could then re-authenticate the site for your platform. And we've got one more here in from Carla, and just asked whether PDF receipts can be used on older surveys. Unfortunately, they can't. They are part of the latest layout version, so 3.1. So if you were looking to use them for old surveys, you would need to recreate those in the new layouts in order to make use of those. So that brings us to a close, almost perfectly on time. So all it remains for me is to say thank you as always for joining, and look out for the recording of this. It's likely to come out before the upgrades, but not for a little while, because I'm actually on leave after today for the best part of a week. So I'll probably pick up the distribution of the recording the other side of that. So thanks very much again, and wish you all a good weekend as we near it.